Tonight, Olympic glory. Canadian athletes capture gold during a historic day in Paris. On top of the podium for the first time in judo.
I still cannot believe it that I got the gold medal.
While Summer McIntosh delivers a dominating win in the pool. The success and a unique set of security threats with Canadian police on patrol. Revelations of widespread discrimination at the highest level of Canada's public service.
Black, Indigenous, and racialized employees experience a very different public service.
Grief and relief in Jasper. Wildfires now extinguished in a town facing a long road to recovery.
It's very emotional to see that picture of my home and know it's not there.
And a theft of distraction.
I feel stupid, I feel taken advantage of, I feel hurt.
A tactic for criminals targeting unsuspecting victims.
CTV National News with Omar Sachedina. Reporting tonight, Heather Butts.
Good evening. A shared sense of pride today after Canada's first taste of gold at the Paris Summer Olympics. Team Canada racked up 2 golds and a bronze, bringing the medal tally to 5. A historic highlight on the mat, followed by more major splashes in the pool. CTV's Scott Hurst starts us off tonight.
Summer McIntosh is an Olympic champion at 17 years old. The teenage swimming phenom touching the wall first, dominating the field, leading from start to finish in the grueling 400-meter individual medley. The young swimming sensation from Toronto proving why she was the heavy favorite going into the event. This is her second medal just 3 days into the Olympic Games. She already won silver in the women's 400-meter freestyle. In judo, Krista Deguchi with her own golden moment. She claimed Canada's first trip to the top of the podium in Paris. The world #1 can now call herself Olympic champion. The 28-year-old dispatching the world #3 South Korean athlete in the 57-kilo final. She is already Canada's most decorated female judoka and now Canada's first ever Olympic champion in the sport.
I feel the weight on my neck, but I really don't feel that I've done it today.
Earlier in the day, history was already made in the diving pool. Rylan Weens and Nathan Zomber Murray winning bronze in the men's synchronized 10-meter platform. It's Canada's first ever Olympic medal in the event and Canada's first medal in any men's diving event since Beijing 2008. Olympic dreams now a reality for the diving pair.
Seeing that my dreams that I have been working so hard are realized now, and it's just a special moment that I'm so glad that my family could be here to watch, and a moment I'll never forget.
And yet another twist in the drama unfolding around the women's soccer team. The Canadian Olympic Committee and Canada Soccer are appealing FIFA's 6-point penalty in the wake of the drone spying scandal. The team will not seek an appeal on coach suspensions. A decision is expected to be made on Wednesday. On the pitch, the women are still alive with a gutsy win against home side France over the weekend. Even if the 6-point deduction is upheld, Team Canada could still move on to the knockout stage with a win over Colombia. Heather.
Scott, thanks. The Games are playing out under a huge security operation as French law enforcement face a unique set of threats. Canada answered the call for additional officers for the Olympics. CTV's Jean-Vier Boschman on their patrols so far.
Among police on foot patrol in the shadow of the Eiffel Tower is a Sûreté du Québec officer, along with Corporal Jean-Luc Dorouin from the West Vancouver Police.
When you've got people coming from all around the world, why not have police from all around the world, people that speak the language, that are able to translate and help out people and just bring that positive vibe here. So I think it's been fantastic.
Aside from intelligence collaboration, France reached out to 44 countries for Olympic reinforcements on the ground. They answered the call, providing 1,800 officers.
Bonjour.
16 are from Canada, including a canine unit for venue sweeps.
We're seeing different police officers, you know, where everybody's shaking hands, greeting each other, and you're having that quick 2-minute dialogue with a police officer from Spain, from Italy, from the U.S. It's fantastic, and it's the people, we love it, the people love it.
Large crowds are always potential targets, but tension over wars in the Middle East and Ukraine, terrorism, political divisions have threatened to play out at the Games. Overnight, vandals attacked telecom lines, disrupting some mobile services. This after an arson attack on signaling cables Friday stopped high-speed trains in their tracks just hours before the opening ceremony.
Obviously, we are, on the highest level of alerts as normal during the games, and we're monitoring things very carefully.
Working side by side, officers say they're forging international bonds. They're trading tactics, expertise, policing techniques. Drouin, whose parents are from France, is acting as an interpreter here for U.S. SWAT team officers.
Oh, okay. And his team was able to take down the suspect.
The foreign contingent has proven popular with many tourists and locals, an uncommon experience. Drouin was part of the security torch relay team in 2010 in BC and got to run with the torch then. He jokes he's now a 2-time Olympian. What do you think will be the legacy of that when you go back home?
I don't know. It'll be the highlight of my career, though, I think. It's just been jaw-dropping.
The hope here is that foreign forces will both beef up security, but also work in the spirit of cooperation between nations inspired by the Olympics. Geneviève Beauchemin, CTV News, Paris.
A children's dance school is a crime scene in northwest England after 2 children were murdered, victims of a stabbing attack.
9 other children have been injured, and 6 of them are in a critical condition. And 2 adults are also in a critical condition.
Emergency responders swarmed the building, which was hosting a Taylor Swift theme event, and rushed the injured to hospital. A 17-year-old has been arrested. His motive is unclear, but police are not treating it as terror-related. To Alberta now, and the latest on the wildfire situation in Jasper. Crews are gearing up for more warm, dry conditions, with the fire still burning outside the town. CTV's Jeremy Thompson is there.
The indiscriminate cruelty of Mother Nature on full display as media toured through Jasper. Some homes and buildings seemingly untouched by the flames, while others nearby are reduced to ash and rubble. Officials with Parks Canada and the town say this was the largest fire Jasper National Park has ever seen.
The simple fact is that sometimes there are no tools or resources capable of overcoming a wildfire of the magnitude that we faced this week.
Cooler weather over the weekend allowed fire crews to regroup, extinguishing all fires within the town and dousing the edges of the wildfire still smoldering nearby. That lingering threat is the biggest reason evacuees are still in limbo.
I don't know what to do.
Longtime Jasperites Phil Walker and Brad Maw collected the compensation offered by the province, but $1,200 only pays for so many nights in a hotel.
You know, I don't think we're going to be able to go home anytime soon.
The main goal for me is finding a place to live. And then once that happens, everything else starts to fall into place.
A hotel in Hinton has set them up with accommodations for 2 weeks. Both men say their homes are still standing, but could have water or smoke damage inside. Parks Canada is organizing tour buses for Jasperites to visit their community in the coming days.
I want to assure the residents of Jasper, including many who are Parks Canada employees, that we will be doing everything possible to support you today, tomorrow, and as long as it takes.
Federal Environment Minister Stephen Guilbeault says more supports for evacuees are coming soon in partnership with the province, including temporary housing while the town rebuilds. What and where that housing will be is unclear.
It's going to be a couple months, but that's where I'm going back to.
Ma is missing the people most of all, worried not everyone will return.
The other thing I want to say is to all those people I know that I might not see you again from Jasper, I love you. So, that's it.
Jeremy Thompson, CTV News, Jasper.
Just west of Jasper, about 360 wildfires are raging in BC. The province's central and southeast regions are the hardest hit. Hundreds have been forced to evacuate the village of Slocan as wildfires tear through the central Kootenay region. BC wildfire officials say rain and cooler temperatures have improved conditions in some areas, while others remain under threat.
Just under half of the total currently burning are out of control.
Across the border, the Park Fire in Northern California has burned nearly 1,500 square kilometers. The man accused of deliberately starting what has become the largest fire in the U.S. has been charged with felony arson. There are new revelations tonight of widespread discrimination at the highest levels of Canada's public service. The federal report kept secret for more than a year. CTV's Judy Trin has the details.
Pushed into the open by an access to information demand, a secret federal report reveals entrenched racism in the Privy Council office. The PCO directly supports the Prime Minister and his cabinet and sets the example for 137 departments.
A workplace where racialized stereotyping, microaggressions, and verbal violence was regularly practiced and normalized, including at the executive level.
The Safe Spaces audit revealed senior managers discouraged PCO employees from speaking out on diversity, that senior positions were dominated by white employees, and that most Black, Indigenous, and racialized staff stayed less than a year in the department. Although more visible minorities have been hired since 2019, the Coalition Against Workplace Discrimination says they are window dressing.
Without the same opportunities for career advancement, trapped in a revolving door of tokenism, brought into temporary positions to give the appearance of racial equity.
The coalition is calling for blind hiring practices and the creation of a Black Equity Commissioner, and for the federal government to settle a class action lawsuit launched in 2021 by Black employees.
We're outraged that such discriminatory practices have been allowed to persist. It's clear that significant structural changes are urgently needed to create a fair and inclusive workplace.
There are more than 30 recommendations in this report which have yet to be implemented. In the name of accountability, the coalition is calling for the resignation of the Deputy Clerk of the Privy Council and the Assistant Secretary to the Cabinet. Heather.
CTV's Judy Trin in Ottawa. U.S. President Joe Biden is proposing major changes to the Supreme Court. Biden is calling for an 18-year term limit for justices who currently serve for life, a binding code of conduct for justices, and a limit on presidential immunity, which could reverse a ruling earlier this month in favor of Donald Trump. Biden's proposals would require help from Republicans in Congress to pass, which means they likely have little chance of taking effect before the November presidential election. A disputed vote in Venezuela is raising serious concerns in Canada and with other Western democracies. Nicolas Maduro was declared winner of a third term. CTV's Colton Prail with reaction despite exit polls pointing to a landslide win by his opponent. Colton.
Heather, both President Nicolas Maduro and challenger Edmundo Gonzalez say they won the election, and they have the votes to prove it. But the tallies are wildly different. Exit polls showed a significant advantage for Gonzalez and the opposition. But early this morning, Venezuela's National Electoral Council called the race, declaring President Nicolas Maduro's victory with 51% of the vote. Maduro calling his win irreversible and a victory against fascism. But the opposition says their data shows Gonzalez won 70% of the vote, and allege election rules were violated at polling stations.
Venezuela ceased being a democracy quite a long time ago. It is an openly authoritarian country, and this was an authoritarian exercise in retaining power.
Maduro was already accused of interfering in the previous presidential election, and he's facing drug trafficking and corruption charges in the United States. Many nations, including Canada, have previously refused to recognize him as the Venezuelan leader. Today, Ottawa among the many saying they have serious concerns about the election and calling for detailed polling results to be published.
Canada has been supporting the Democratic opposition and condemning an increasingly severe authoritarian regime in Venezuela.
In Venezuela, opposition supporters in tears. Millions showed up to vote, many hoping it would be the first time in 25 years the country saw a new party form government. Experts say if these results stand, it could mean another wave of Venezuelan migration, a mass exodus that's already seen about 8 million people, or a third of the country's population, flee the instability over the past decade. Heather.
All right, Colton, thanks. Israel's prime minister is promising a harsh response after a rocket attack in the Golan Heights that is raising concerns about an even wider conflict in the Middle East. Benjamin Netanyahu visited the site today, where he was met by protesters saying the tragedy shouldn't be political. 12 children and teenagers were killed in the strike on a soccer field. Israel has blamed the Iran-backed group Hezbollah, which is set up inside Lebanon. Hezbollah has denied being involved. Coming up, human remains left unclaimed. What's behind a burial backlog on the East Coast? Plus,
I can't. I'm just so proud of her.
the influence of Summer McIntosh on Canada's next generation of Olympians. As health officials in Newfoundland and Labrador scramble to deal with an overwhelming number of unclaimed bodies, the province has committed to more than doubling funeral benefits for some families. CTV's Garrett Barry explains.
Underneath the Children's Hospital in St. John's is a makeshift morgue that's dominated political debate in this province. Unclaimed bodies have been piling up for months in temporary freezers. Earlier this year, officials were forced to move the freezers from outside to inside and behind these walls.
It's an embarrassment to the province, and actually, again, the minister coming today, and I was expecting that they were finally taking, listening to what the public and what opposition have been saying, but unfortunately they're not.
Today, government said it would increase subsidies paid for families who can't afford funerals. But officials were careful to avoid promises that this would get the pileup at the morgue moving.
Depends. As I have to say again, there are many complexities around people and many reasons why people are in the morgue. And that's something that I can't comment on because I really don't know.
Critics say progress has been too slow. At last count, 30 bodies were being held in the morgue space, about as many as there were 7 months ago.
I definitely don't think the option is build a bigger freezer and store the bodies.
There's some evidence that this problem is growing across the country. In Ontario, the number of unclaimed remains has more than doubled in the last 4 years. In about a quarter of those cases, financial difficulties were blocking a burial. Here in Newfoundland and Labrador, officials aren't keeping those sorts of statistics. They say reasons are complex and no single policy change will clear the backlog. Garrett Barry, CTV News, St. John's.
Still ahead, a warning to shoppers. We keep a close eye on the growing risk of distraction thefts. A cautionary tale to keep close tabs on your personal belongings. Thieves can sneak up in a moment's notice. CTV's Beth McDonnell on the tactics and rising trend.
A guy is there with his mask on, and he's asking me about flowers. And I'm thinking, oh, wow, I love flowers. I love to help people.
We're calling the woman in this video Jay because she's afraid of being targeted. It's July 19th, middle of the afternoon, and she's just left the teller machine at a bank in the Pape and Danforth area. She walks over to a market to buy flowers, and inside her backpack is her wallet with a large sum of money. Little does Jay know there's a camera recording. While she speaks with the man in the mask, her wallet is stolen.
And then all of a sudden he leaves the store, and I thought, oh, that's weird. He didn't buy any flowers. So then I go to buy the flowers that I had gone into the grocer to buy, and I take my backpack off, notice it's completely been unzipped.
Now a victim of theft, but still wanting the flowers, Jay leaves the market and returns later to purchase them. That's when the clerk shows her what happened.
And she says, oh, we have it on video. We got the guys. There were 3 guys. And I'm absolutely thunderstruck because I feel stupid. I feel taken advantage of. I feel hurt. I feel so betrayed.
Jay's spouse, Elle, is upset about the theft in the market and filed a police report.
I think times are changing and there are a lot of scam artists and thieves around, and it's just really important to be paying attention and aware of what's going on.
Distraction theft safety tips include keeping money, credit cards, and other valuables close to you and ensuring your bag or purse face the front of your body. It's also important to be aware of loud arguments and commotions. Even being accidentally bumped could be a tactic.
It's a horrible feeling when you go somewhere that's close to your home and you feel safe, and then all of a sudden you realize you have to be vigilant everywhere.
Jay now believes the 3 men followed her from the bank to the market. She's sharing her story to raise awareness and help others. Beth McDonnell, CTV News.
There was a different kind of distraction for people in a quiet neighborhood in Washington state. A hot air balloon knocked off course by strong winds passed just meters over the rooftops of homes west of Tacoma.
First I was like, oh, this is really cool. But then when we realized that it was going down.
Neighbors helped guide the balloon with 8 people on board to a safe landing. There were no injuries. After the break, domination and inspiration. Young swimmers celebrate the excellence of Summer McIntosh. It's quickly turning into the summer of Summer McIntosh at the Paris Olympics. The swimming sensation is making major waves on the biggest stage and motivating the next generation to dream big. Here's CTV's Sean Lee Thong.
At the Canadian Swimming Championships, those who dream of one day competing in the Olympics got to see one of their own live their dream, with Summer McIntosh of Toronto winning a gold medal.
I would say it's really inspiring. It definitely inspires me to work really hard to be able to get there when I'm older in the future.
15-year-old Leah Tigert is an elite swimmer with eyes on future Olympics.
She's worked so hard to be able to get to where she is, and she's also, well, it just makes me think about working harder every single day to get to where she is.
When the gold medal race took place this afternoon, competitors had their eyes glued to the big screen, and a victory for Summer felt like a victory for all.
I've watched her break 2 world records in this pool, and I'm just so proud of her.
Emma Sachs has been a race official at the Pan Am Games Center for years and has watched Summer McIntosh's career grow.
Coming into today, I knew she was gonna get the gold, but it's just so surreal to see her actually do it.
And knowing that an Olympic champion trained in these waters, tomorrow's athletes have little extra energy today.
It means a lot. It's really good that she did that for Canada. It's just awesome seeing someone my age be able to accomplish that. It's just truly inspiring.
Toronto Swim Club director Bill O'Toole has coached Olympians, including Penny Alexiak. He says athletes like Alexiak and Summer McIntosh have a special talent that Canadians will see more of in the coming years.
And she's an amazing athlete, and I think Canada is going to see some incredible things, not only this Olympics, but the one after that, and the one after that, and the one after that. She's amazing.
So as much as Canadians may be celebrating the win today, those who are looking towards the next Olympics say that Canadian swimming has a bright future. Sean Lee Thong, CTV News.
An exciting day for the sport. That's our newscast for this Monday night. I'm Heather Butts. For all of us at CTV National News, thank you for watching. Sandy Ronaldo and Morella Fernandez will be here tomorrow. Good night.